G'day listeners. Before we kick off this week's episode of Barkarati, we do have to make a little announcement. We had an absolute ball recording this episode. Our guest came up with a brilliant idea for the double-handed mixed offshore class for the Olympics, and we ran with it, and we had a lot of laughs. About an hour after we recorded this show, which was on a Thursday, we saw an email from the IOC that basically has ruled out the double-handed offshore mixed class and sort of threw everything in a rice. So I just wanted to mention that that all happened after we'd done the recording. Doesn't change the thoughts we'd had. Subsequent to that email we've seen and our recording, we've picked up on a few rumours of potential replacements, which we'll touch on next week. So just enjoy the show for what it was, how it was recorded. Also, probably a fault on my part, I neglected to mention the Finn European titles. We're massive fans of the Finn at Barkarati. We're also massive fans of Portugal, where the titles were held in Vila Moura in Portugal, which is basically in the Algarve, right down the southern end of Portugal, as far south as you can go. Big congrats to Zomba Beric, the Hungarian Finn sailor who won the European champs with a pretty dominant display. But a special mention to Giles Scott, who's just come straight off the Ineos team boat and ended up coming into second place. And then, of course, Neil Athunik from Switzerland coming in third place. Jon Cordona was the under-23 European title champion. So we love that class. Probably might have a bit of resurgence in energy for 24 now, given what's going on. But just wanted to mention, did want to forget about that event. All right, enjoy the show. It's an absolute cracker. We laughed and laughed. G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. It's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but unfortunately I have to do it with my two idiot mates. My name is Jordan Spencer, and first off, joining me correctly is Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
Hey BP.
G'day. I'm getting itchy feet. I haven't sailed for a couple of weeks.
Oh,
I went up and watched you last week and it just made it worse. And now it's time to go sailing.
Yep, get out there, mate. Don't be shy.
No.
Now the season's over. Let's bring in the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bicey.
G'day, man.
G'day.
Good to be here for another week for our 101st. I really liked last week's 100th episode. It was a really good one.
Am I missing something here?
Yeah. He doesn't count the 100th episode where he got lost.
Oh, it's all about him.
That's right.
It's all
that's
about
right.
Bicey.
It's all about
Basically,
him.
it's all about the 100th. I'm big with anniversaries. Hey, fellas, I'm pretty excited about this episode. And I don't think I've explained to you guys, but our guest today, I've probably spent more time offshore with this bloke than anyone else in the world.
Yep.
Not only offshore, but on the same watch for at least one lap plus a bit more. So exciting.
Yep.
And we've all got the same boss still.
Not entirely sure where we draw the line as to where the conversations go, because I've heard most of the stories, almost all of them.
And probably a
It's
part
always
of them.
good when we catch up and the stories come out. So let's with no further ado, Jordan.
I knew this was going to
intro.
happen just going into this show. I mean, I know our guest nowhere near as well as both you. I've had a few beers with the man and seen him in a few million places around the world, but I knew there was going to be the close association. So my plan for this episode is to sit back and watch the fun happen. I expect you two idiots to pull out the stories. All right. Well, let's kick it in. So our guest tonight, as you may know, is actually very close to our team here at Barkarati. Multiple Volby Ocean races, including Boat 2 in the ABN AMRO one, including Delta Lloyd and including Team Brunel in 2014-15, won the Admiral's Cup, done a bit of Olympic coaching, bit of keel boat stuff, I think won the Admiral's Cup. And unfortunately, and is a major. He's probably one of the top media profiles in the Netherlands for sailing. And unfortunately for him, as Bicey said, has probably spent more time offshore with Bicey than any other person on the planet. Welcome to the show, Johnny Poortman. How are you, mate?
Good morning. Yeah. Evening for you guys. Great to be on the show. Thanks. Yeah. I'm brilliant.
Hey, Jordan, you forgot. You mentioned multiple Volvos, ABN AMRO, Delta Lloyd, Brunel, but you forgot the floating clog.
I did not forget the floating clog. I was saving that one.
I basically did 3 Volvo Ocean Race, or 4, and the last one was to finish in Scheveningen and Den Haag, and I was the skipper of the clog.
The clog. My God, we used to enjoy watching that thing go around in circles. It's the best
project.
Tell us about the clog.
Project.
Huh?
Yeah, kick it off with the clog.
The clog was brilliant. I mean, I was asked to be an ambassador for the finish in Den Haag for the last race, and then we had this brainstorm session how to put Den Haag on the map internationally. So they wanted to have this little stand in the race village of the Volvo Ocean Race, and like have someone in Dutch clothing and then giving some folders and so on. I said, well, between all the big marketing powerhouses like Volvo and all the like Dongfeng and what have you, you're not going to stand out. You've got to do something in the water because the harbor is closed. There's only like 7 boats in the water, and the rest is empty. I said, whatever you do, throw a clog in the water or whatever. Oh, that's a good idea. That's typical Dutch. So I said, well, if you do that, it needs to look like a Volvo Ocean Race clog. So we actually went about to design a clog. I called Hull Spars and said, what have you got? Carbon rigs, and they had some bended I think it was Nacra rigs, so they gave us one of these rigs, and we made a boom and a full carbon fiber boom and rig out of it. I got some my buddy Frans Invela from he used to work for North Sails and he to be my boss to build a square head sail on it and off we went, and it performed so well. I mean, stability was tough, when we took it out of Cape Town, out of the harbor master got a bit pissed off, and then Simeon came by with the Exo Nobel full speed, and we almost capsized on the stern wave. But it's great doing donuts. It's brilliant.
But so for the listener, the clog, 12 foot long, probably 4 meters long.
Yeah, about that.
Enough room for 8 Dutchmen. No problem.
Yeah. 2 of us and our buddy Stefan Koppers, our media guy from Team Brunel.
Your
right
own
nutcase.
Your own media man on board.
Yeah. And flying the drones, and we had great fun with that. And it worked well because everybody was a bit skeptical about it, a bit cheesy and so on. But we drove it into Alicante, and we had the lines queuing up for pictures. I mean, people got married in it in bloody what was it in China? They jumped in and got married in the clog.
Was there
reporters? It's online. Cloggy Reporters.
What is it?
It's called Cloggy Reporters. If you Google it,
Cloggy Reporters,
YouTube,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, as is tradition in many a yachting campaign, sometimes there's a little fornication happens either on a boat or close to any boat. Can you confirm or deny whether anything like that took place during the race?
Fornication?
Now he doesn't speak English.
A little bit of male-female action.
Well, the problem with the clog is you can't go inside it.
She's quite open.
So she's quite open. So no, Bicey, we're getting older, basically. And boring.
Maybe not you. Stefan was a bit of a player, so.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it was in the clog. Could well be. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Or the clog container.
A little bit of clogging.
What about those Chinese couples that just got married? Maybe their honeymoon was settled in the clog. Was that part of the all-service package?
No, they just rocked up, jumped in, and made a picture. As they go. And I mean, in Hong Kong, there literally was a half an hour line, lined up to put on some clogs and stand in front of the clog and make a picture.
Hold a windmill.
Hold a windmill.
It's interesting how Volvo. Yeah,
It was freezing
it's
cold
interesting
too.
how Volvo puts us in the back of the race village in Alicante, and by the end of the race, we're right in front of the Volvo pavilion, and showed, it was the only item in the race village that got some viewing actually.
Did it have a nice little paint job on the front, on the front of it, or was it just wood?
No, well, we had it all branded up. Yeah, it's still around actually. It will be used for the worlds in Scheveningen for the sailing world, ISF sailing worlds.
In the club division.
I think BP. I think Don's going to allow it in his little around the world race in
the classic challenge class.
Yeah.
How does it rate, Johnny?
Has it got
an IRC rating?
Yeah, especially the donuts are brilliant. But what we should do is launch the bar karate beer, and because what we did in Scheveningen, we made a bar out of it. We put a good-looking chick in there with lots of ice and gin tonics, but we just put it in a bar. We put the clock right in the middle of the bar on the beach, and we should put some bar karate lager in it.
Yeah,
rightio, sold.
Yeah,
Good
job done. Tick.
Rightio, that's 23% of the show done. But Johnny, let's step it back a couple of notches. How did it all start off, mate? Where did it all start off? Who with?
Well, yeah, I started quite early when I was 7 years old on a little lake, a little sailing club in the south. My brother's 10 years older and he needed to do something. My parents weren't really sailors. My dad is scared of water, but it's a tiny little lake that I learned sailing. But it was a youth sailing club. I'm actually the chairman of the club now because it almost died and we revamped it and now we're back into life again. But because my kids are sailing there now. But that's where it started. And then I sailed actually international cadets, well known in Australia. I think you call it international cadets. We call it cadets.
Yeah.
And Wareboy. Do you guys know Wareboy?
Yeah,
DJ Wareboy from Melbourne.
Yeah, I spoke to Wareboy. No, I actually spoke to MJ yesterday.
Oh yeah, MJ. Oh, yeah, good. Yeah. How's he? Yeah,
no, they're all good.
Brilliant.
They listen heavily. They're hooked on the actual discussion. But that's another discussion. So
another thing, yeah. But that's in that era, and so I did the cadets, and then also sci-fi was also in cadets. People like Tom Green and Nick Rogers who sailed the 470s. Anyway, and from there actually I was in a little bit of a gap, so I moved to America to do high school and did a bit of leisure, and then I came back, and then there was not much going on in Holland. There wasn't much of a 420 fleet and so on. So I ended up on big boats, which was started with the RLC 40, where we did in the time it was the Commodore's Cup. This was around 97. We had in England on the Solent lots of Commodore's Cup. So you had the Commodore's Cup for amateurs, country teams. So there's 3 boats in a team, a 50, a 40, and a smaller one, with mostly amateurs. That's the Commodore's Cup. And then you had the pro version, which is the Admiral's Cup, which is the year after. So we did that, and one of the guys with bow backing on our boat, who skippered it back then. I climbed up the ladder a little bit as a bowman because I was young and I could sail, and so they threw me on the bow, and I ended up there. And then in 99, it was my Admiral's Cup. I got asked a lot more. I lived in England by that time. I studied at the Southampton Institute with the likes of Paul Goodison, Peter, and Robert Greenouch. They're all in my class. Jim Turner. So it was crazy. We actually lived together.
What were you actually studying?
Test rigs.
How to break stuff.
Well, how to build and break test rigs.
I think we were all pretty much, I don't know what Goody was doing, but I was doing the same study as Jim Turner and Robert Greenhouse, and we call it deck chair management.
Deck chair management.
Officially, it's called maritime leisure management, but so it was just a management degree and a little bit more technical sides to it, with yacht manufacturing management and marketing, and a bit like a small business degree, but we could sail a lot. We sailed all day on the Solent and together. And
did Rob by any chance? And we got did Rob by any chance break a chair?
No, morning pans. So like we had lots of these trophies in the house, and then we broke some of them.
Okay. Well, as long as he's staying on theme, that's all.
Yeah.
We're pretty late on that one.
No, but that's how it started. And then I was lucky actually because I lived in England, and I did the Admirals Cup, which helped. And then this Dutch owner, when I moved to England, he had to sail without me, and they kept breaking the spinnakers and throw me in the piss, and so he called me and said, listen, Johnny, can you just come from England to Holland once a month, because that's a lot cheaper than just buying a new spinnaker every weekend. So and I was happy with that. I could go to Holland, and I leave on Thursday and go back on the Monday. He wouldn't pay me, but he would pay the ticket, so it was brilliant. I kind of did my washing once a month.
You took your washing home to mum.
Took it home to mum and said, there you go.
So that was kind of the first thing that slightly looked like, pro sailing, and then the Admirals Cup. And then I had two markets, so the Dutch market and the English market. I sailed with the boat called Christabella in the IMS circuit, with the boat like Sottovoce, which was a Judo Vrolijk 67, with people like Bouwbecking again, and Jens Christiansen, and Tony Ray was on there a couple of times, and lots of guys. And that's kind of... And Pepe Ribas. And then I did that a couple of years, 4 years, 5 years, and I got a little bit bored, to be honest. I felt like a bit of a factory worker on the bow, pulling some strings, sending the invoice and bugger off home. I was looking for some more professional, or like more team, working towards something. And luckily then ABN AMRO popped up, and that was in the making for a while, actually, because, the black boat was already launched. And they didn't figure out yet what to do with the white boat, and we tried with Hans Horrevoets and Wouter to do a Dutch thing, but then they decided they want a real international team with youth sailors on that boat from the 4 main markets, or 3 main markets, and the rest of the world. And then the selection process started that we all did, and we all we ended up on this boat, and we got off to this exciting adventure, to be honest.
Just maybe for the listeners, Johnny, talk about the selection process a little bit, like what you did in Lelystad and how that worked.
Yeah. Well, what we did is basically this was the time before we had Big Brother and Pop Idols and all these programs, So we really like groundbreaking, because what we did is we put in our CVs online, and then we were picked in 4 groups. So we had Southern America, North America, and Europe, and then a group of the rest of the world. And they picked all the best CVs out of that. They invited to Holland in Lelystad, which was in the middle of the winter. We went sailing, and basically out of that group, there was another selection made that kind of moved to Portugal on a Volvo 60, where we had 80 sailors, and we pretty much did selections there for about 2 weeks, if I remember right. And 8 sailors were chosen out of that. And so that was pretty fierce selection, There was a lot of good sailors there, and 8 people were, and I remember because 8 people were selected. And the next thing, I think within a couple of weeks, they threw us on an Open 60. And not an Open 60, a Volvo 60 in Marseille. We never really met each other. And they said, good luck. You got to go to Congo. To Congo. Were you on board for that? No,
yeah. No, not that one. I was in the US with
Sci-Fi and Seb. Yeah. So that we never sailed together. We trained for 2 afternoons. We hardly prepared anything, and it's a 26-day trip from Marseille to Congo. And I remember we just got off, and then in Gibraltar we had like 25 knots of breeze. We're broaching. We did about 10 broaches in the middle of the Strait of Gibraltar, and we carried on. Anyway, we won with 5 days spare, and it was a great trip.
And not to mention the skipper, Seb, has just come out straight out the back of a Vondo. So he's used to just no noise at all on board.
Yeah,
That is now full of a team.
All these kids would have no idea, and he was an amazing. And he would start driving, and we were like really keen and trimming all these sails, and trying to make the boat. And he would just go nuts. He said, "Stop trimming the boat. Just lock it off, and I'll just steer." Because he wasn't used to people actually changing stuff on the boat. He's on his own. He just wanted to steer, and we drove him nuts by changing all the settings all the time. He was a legend, though, Sepp. He was so good in balancing out the boat. That's really what I've learned from him, is to really feel the boat and set it up so it will just go fast in a straight line.
Yeah.
So that got you started, mate. You're into the ocean race, and you've done 1 million miles at sea. I have to ask you to listen to this question carefully. Who was the most annoying sailor you've spent time with at sea?
That's a difficult one.
Don't have to think too hard.
Probably myself, to be honest. But no, I mean,
no, you don't have to. I was just trying to set Bicey up.
I could say Guillermo, because we had and everybody knows why. And when you have a beer with Guillermo in the bar, then you laugh about it, what happened back in the days. But he was a character, and if you weren't in line with him, then you were in for it. And but afterwards, it's one of the best sailors I've ever met, and especially drivers. We had a great laugh about it, but we had some interesting times on the boat.
Hey, I'll ask a genuine question because of all the laps around the planet you've done. Just tell everyone how easy it is to get around Cape Horn.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, it's bloody hard. Actually, it's really irritating when you go around. It took me 3 times. It took me 10 years basically. So the first time with ABN AMRO, we left Melbourne. We got around the corner, and all of a sudden we had these heinous waves and a huge amount of wind. And we were sailing with the ABN AMRO 2, and we're broaching. And we broached pretty hard, so hard that we actually bent all the stanchions on the bow flat on the deck. And I mean, the stanchions on the Volvo Ocean Race boat is the solid stainless steel pole. So we were surprised about that. And we tried to reef, but we couldn't. We reefed, but then it was filling up with water all the time, and it ripped the sail. So I actually spent some time with thread and needle as well, trying to stitch up the sail at the back of the boom while doing 35 knots down these waves. Yeah, crazy. But hey, we didn't know danger by then. And then I went on the bow, and I thought, hey, this is dangerous. And it was adrenaline, and it was crazy, and it was the biggest mistake I've ever made. I thought, hey, I'll go on my knees to the front of the boat to check these stanchions, to check the damage. And this was the biggest fuck up I could make, because when you go on your knees and a wave grabs you, your whole body is caught by the wave. And if you're doing that at 80 miles an hour, or with 80 k's an hour, sorry, so that's like 20 knots, then you just flush to the back. If I would have stand on my legs, the wave would have gone through my legs. I wouldn't have been hit that hard. So I got flushed against the centerboard. I broke my tailbone. I broke my vertebra. The boys had to stitch me up. That's a whole other story. They did it all wrong. And that was me out. So I missed the Cape Horn. And in the second race, we pretty much sunk the boat, the Delta Lloyd near Taiwan. So it needs to go on the ship. And then the last one was with Team Brunel, and we made it. And then the guys that did the race for the first time, they went, oh, yeah, Rock, let's carry on. And I was like, oh, it's a Cape Horn. It's so emotional.
But not only did you make it that year on Brunel, but that was one of the fastest passages ever. I think from memory, 19.8 knot average from the start to get to Cape Horn. Wow. On a
we had that hurricane. We actually had the delay in Auckland, and we actually caught up with it. So we were fast. So we caught up with it, and we sat in the back. It was pretty messy ride, actually. I remember we built walls in front of the steering wheels from the sails to not be flushed away from the wheel because we just couldn't stand behind the wheel. Yeah. You just get sprayed away and end up in the back and no one driving. So we built a big wall from the sails. And then the night before the horn, all the electronics died, which was interesting. We were doing really well. And then Pablo was the only one, Arato was the only one who could drive the boat really at these huge sail seas with in the dark, pitch dark, black, no meters, nothing. Yeah. It was a pretty amazing job he did there.
So going back one, Jordan, just so Johnny, he was the media man on board. Whilst on board. Yep. So there are a lot of shots of all his. So he would take a photo of the stitching that had been done on his eyebrow, and then it all got uploaded. You see, so everyone thought Johnny's taking selfies of himself all the time.
Yeah.
So the piss got taken out of him.
Cam.
Yeah,
the big brother cam in the toilet. But we didn't have a mirror, and the guys they stitched me up. But an eye you have to stitch up from the top down because otherwise you pull the eye up all the way. So the guys forgot this, so they actually ended up stitching from the bottom, and then after the fourth stitch, basically they couldn't get it through, so they ended up like somewhere above, 2 inches above my head. Then Sepp was calling for a sail change. They just left me there for 3/4 of an hour to do the sail change, and I came back and said, "Oh, never mind that." So they pulled it back out.
But then following, I can't remember who ended up being the media man once you jumped off. But one thing I certainly do remember, there was a certain crew member on board, and we'd left Wellington because it was like a short stopover in Wellington. And we got at least 24 hours out or something. But the rules of a pit stop is no one is allowed on the boat. Of course, you're allowed to do swap the crew and what have you. And there's a small controversy. Someone touched the rail when Johnny was getting off or something like that. But we get 24 hours out of Wellington, and one of the boys goes, "Check this out." So we go down, and we're looking on the cameras on board. So someone was on board. Actually, two people were on board, one of which was not meant to be. And all videos were running.
The funny
Big Brother's watching, yeah. Oh, crazy.
Games. But even the funniest bit was we then all knew about that, and there was a bit of back chat, and we basically made out when we were about to pull into Rio that we'd been disqualified from the leg for that particular incident.
I think they did find out, and they actually got this guy in the jury room, and he was, pissing himself because he thought, I'm going to disqualify my team, and this we can't have the, he was really scared, and they really told him off like a little kid, we are your parents, and you're not allowed to do this anymore. And
let's just say he was little, probably not a kid, so I think everyone will know who he was.
How do you? Anyway, I'm not saying a word. Fantastic. So, all right. Well, then, with all those sailing, with the ocean race, was that something you always wanted to do, the ocean race, or it's just because?
No, not at all. In fact, my parents didn't have a boat, so I didn't know the whipwreath in the time very well, and I was just doing dinghy sailing, and then I got into big boats, and then we got to do these offshores here in Northern Europe, which are generally 18 to 24-hour races. And if you're a bowman, you end up, and especially with the Commodore's Cup and the Admiral's Cup, if you're a bowman, you're just sitting there 27 hours in the front of the queue, going through the channel, cold, miserable. You get to hoist 2 spinnaker if you're lucky, and then you finish. I said, how can you like offshore sailing? This is absolutely horrible. I hated it, cold, miserable. So I thought it was never a dream. And then I actually did the delivery across the Atlantic with the Sottovoce, and we actually had a watch system, 4 hours on, 4 hours off. It was with Pepe Ribas, and he brought a nice Ramon from his parents hanging on the mast. But anyway, you did a 4 hour on, 4 hour off shift, so you got to sleep. The difference between night and day is gone. Yeah, so you're as fit at night as you are during the day, and you're starting to enjoy it. And you're actually sailing the boat, when you're on watch, which is doing what you love. And I thought, hey, if the Volvo Ocean Race is like this, then I might like it. And this is when I started getting interested and then started getting really into this offshore sailing. But the beginning it's just horrible. This 24-hour races are just. I
have to focus in. Just in passing, just the ham-on hanging off the mast. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant. And it's grandpa came down in Alicante where we were waiting for the wind to die in Gibraltar. And so they came with this massive leg of jamon and this kind of Spanish bread that keeps for a long time, and a homemade olive oil. So the whole trip, which was about 16 days or something, every day we had this time of the day where we cut off a bit of jamon on the bread with the oil, and it was lush. Yeah. They did it on Club Med, I think, with Grant Dalton, but he didn't know
I was about to say.
Yeah?
I remember there a story where he stuck a jamon.
They hung it inside the mast.
Yes.
It's the only place where Grant Dalton ever would come.
Fantastic.
During the race.
So I remember that story.
No wonder the Spanish are such good sailors.
Oh, let's go back offshore, get some more jamon.
Come on into it.
Oh dear, fantastic.
Very cool.
So,
No.
go on, Bicey. You gonna hit us with another story?
Well, the only story, it's not a jamon story, but one thing that we all had in common, like obviously with ABN AMRO, you build a bit of a team all together. You spend a lot of time together, not only offshore, but also onshore. But we also took up a few hobbies together. And let's put it this way, at the beginning of leg one, Johnny was one of the guys on board that smoked cigarettes. And by all means, for all the kids listening out there, we don't smoke cigarettes anymore. That's not cool.
No.
But
back then it was cool. Marlboro Man.
Put it this way: by the end of the race, every single person on that boat was smoking cigarettes. But Johnny thought he'd had enough for the whole leg, just for himself. And I reckon within 2 nights, 2 days, we were through them all.
And the funny story about that. Well, we took it after we took it quite serious. So we weren't smoking that much, honestly. It was more when we were out and about. But after England, of course, we had the big we had the big accident with Hans Horrefoods, losing Hans Horrefoods, and then the race for us was finishing it together. As good as we could, and especially that last race, we were really fired up. We're actually leading the whole thing, but also we decided we're going to enjoy this time together. And I thought, since they're all, doing my smoke, so I brought a whole sleeve, and it's a 3-day leg. So I brought a whole sleeve, and so I've got a picture. I can't find it, but I used to have a picture with 8 of us on the stack, all with a buster, and we're just smoking like crazy in these 3 days. And the funny thing is, when we're coming into Gothenburg, we're going up the channel. It's a downwind finish through the channel. We had to do about 1 million jibes, and I had to go up in the rig to look if people were anchored in front of us. But I'm sitting up the rig, and these guys are grinding and grinding and jibing, and all I can hear is coughing because all their lungs are just killing themselves. They're not used to it, and they're going, every jibe.
I thought you were going to.
And I'm just up in the rig going, laughing like crazy, going, it's okay up here.
I thought you were going to say you're up there having a ciggy.
No, then it would be too obvious.
No, good times.
Luckily, that's all finished. That's all done.
Here.
But ABN AMRO set us off, and it was a brilliant. Well, it was really a campaign of highs and lows. Of course, we lost Hans, and for me, I lost. I broke my back. But on the other end, we've got the world record, 24-hour world record we had for 3 years. We had 4th position overall, great friendship, and so it was such a roller coaster of highs and lows in that race. It was amazing.
And then you went back for more. Was it equaled? Yeah. Team Delta Lloyd.
Team Delta Lloyd, yeah. Well, I got a call 2 weeks in front of the start, and hey, we've got this Irish team, and Delta Lloyd's a Dutch insurance company sponsoring it. Tom Tauber was running the sponsorship. Tom Tauber used to be the director of ABM, so he was a good guy. And I said, well, how can you do that 2 weeks before the race? You need to prepare a bit longer. And he convinced me. He convinced me that the boat was good and the crew was good and we had money, and our goal was to be competitive halfway through the race. But so I took the challenge, but what you don't realize is that the other teams, they get better every race as well. So you have to go pretty much twice as fast. And we didn't know the crew enough. We didn't, and the level wasn't there. So halfway through the race, we were just breaking everything. The first leg, we broke a jumper. I think the second or the third leg, someone closed the valve on the keel system and pulled the whole ram out of the boat. And the third leg, we almost sunk. So it was an absolute drama. But then we broke down properly, in that leg to China when we got into the big storm, and Ericsson was also delaminating. We were delaminating, and we could actually, we had to put the boat on the ship to Rio. And we actually bought ourselves time to reshuffle the shore crew, and this is where we called Bicey, and because he was really, to be honest, was he really the only guy around that could turn this technically around and get this boat back into shape that we would trust it. And of course, I've sailed with Bicey as my West Sports captain in Adrian Amro, and we didn't have time to practice. So we wanted someone that we knew we could count on, and he would deliver. So that was great. He threw that around, and we had a couple of other changes, but not that much. But we trained actually in Rio. We got that boat in brand new shape, and from there on it was okay. Yeah, we were the only boat in that race that was second hand. All the boats were new. We had the winning boat from the previous race, so we had to really sail a brilliant race to get close to top three. And we had a couple of close finishes and a couple on the stage finishes in the inshore race. So we got it back together, luckily. But the beginning was horrible. Yeah.
Must have been one hell of a storm, that one, because obviously a bit of wind against tide or something. Like it is a known rough spot.
It was, yeah. It's like Biscay. It's like Tasman Sea. It's where you got big ocean waves coming in, and the sea gets shallow, so the waves get really lifted up, and you got the top of the Philippines, and we tried to get through, and then we actually had to anchor. We blew up our main, and this is a great story actually. So we figured out that we couldn't get through, so we needed to find a place to anchor, and we found this bay in the Philippines. So we're going on there. We can't use the engine, so we're dropping the main, and we're on the little jib, and we're kind of going in this bay that is really badly charted in the middle of the night, and we kind of park up this boat there, throw in the anchor, and yes, a couple of hours later, the Green Dragon, the Irish boat, is also coming in and anchoring, and it's anchoring right next to us actually. So in the morning the light comes up, and we can see the shore, and there's a little village there, and there's little guys with hollow out trees and a lawnmower engine on it that have these boats, and they're going around us, and we actually go on shore and get a case of beer and some spaghetti that we make fresh, and then we actually had to fix the mainsail. So we get this mainsail, and we throw it on this hollowed out tree, and it's like, ooh, it's all balancing, and we're going to the shore. The guy is really excited. He's going full speed towards the shore with the main on this little tree, and he hits the rocks really hard, and then the main almost just capsizes of this little catamaran with trees. Then the guys from the village rock out, grab the main, and run off with the mainsail into the woods. And we go, well, where's our mainsail going, So we follow it, but they actually have this flat spot there in the village. And then all the kids start running over it, and with sticky back, we give all the kids little circles to throw to. It's the old 3DL. We had holes in it everywhere to put the little sticky back on the sail everywhere in the sail. And then the Filipino women come with their kids on the shore. shoulders. You want Filipino woman? You want Filipino woman? And we were like, oh. No, we're okay, thank you. And then the guys go, well, you don't like Filipino woman? And we're like, oh shit, we're in trouble here. So our youngest guy was Morgan White, and he said, well, come on, mate, you take one from the team, and we know he likes it. He likes it anyway. So you take one for the team, Morgie. And he said, no, didn't happen. But and then we put the main back in. And then it was eyeballing Green Dragon. Then we're sitting on this boat. We had to wait 24 hours. Yeah. And of course, the first one off the anchor is leading. You know, it's still in the race. So we're actually going swimming towards Green Dragon, and they're coming. How far are you? When are you leaving? Well, you know, we don't know. And we're on anchor racing each other, basically. And Green Dragon goes a little bit earlier, and within 4 hours, we got him. But it was a crazy situation there. Yeah.
So when you went around again on the 65, was everything just that bit easier, you know, with the... Because the 70s, everything was sort of breaking apart, but the 65s just sort of, or was it just harder because you're pushing so much? Yeah, the
65 is a bus. You know, it's literally a bus. I mean, with the 70, if you bear away, you have the sensation of kind of falling back. You know, the acceleration. There's none of that is there with the 65. But you can push it hard. You know, so the excitement when there's waves and when you've got breeze, then it's still a pretty cool boat. You know, whereas on the 70, you really have to gear down. But yeah, you've got fair bit horsepower less, and but I like it. You know, I'm in this sport for racing other sailboats. I'm in this sport to show people that we can sail a sailboat faster than the competition. So I hate it when boats break down because of gale failure, and I'd rather just have 7 boats finishing and have the best guy win.
All right. So the next question: what's the worst thing you've seen Bicey do on a boat?
The clogs video.
the clogs video, yeah. The clogs is a Dutch. Well, everybody knows clogs, but we had the Crocs, which are the rubber clogs, and I figured out, hey, that's actually a quite good shoe for the Volvo Ocean Race because they don't get smelly. It's rubber, and you had the water version with neoprene, so they actually would stick on your feet.
On it.
A gator on it. Yeah.
Crocs.
I actually did Southern Ocean leg on Crocs, you know. So basically in the survival suit and then put the Crocs on. It's brilliant,
mate. So we're leaving Brazil. I joined the team in Brazil on Delta Lloyd, and here's Johnny and a few of the other Dutchies turn up with the Crocs, and you are shitting me. I'm not wearing a pair of bloody Crocs. I'll tell you what. Within 3 days, I've found the best ever offshore shoe in the world. I even did the last leg, albeit up in the Baltic Sea. No sea boots, no nothing. Just some waterproof socks and my Crocs.
You know what's coming, BP?
Yeah, a set of Crocs.
Barkaratis.
Barkarati Crocs.
Bugger if I can find any with the Gators anymore, Johnny.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah? I'm really missing him. Yeah. But there's a good video online. You guys don't have a website, do you?
Links. We'll put it up.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
So there is.
I'll send it to you.
There's a great video where you can enjoy being part of the team and the Crocs.
And that's basically about 4 days into the leg from Rio to Boston.
Yeah.
Oh dear, too much time on your hands on that one when you got to do that one. That's fantastic. Well, just from, you know, like you've had all these amazing experiences, but now you're starting to put back into the sport, mate.
Yeah. Well, basically, Brunel, basically after Delta Lloyd, I started working for, after ABN, I started working for North Sails, then I did Delta Lloyd, and it was 2008, it was the recession, so there was less sailing going on, and then Volvo Ocean Race started with this Volvo 65, and it was a new thing to sell. And I figured, and I listened to your podcast yesterday from Charlie Enright, and he basically said the same. He's like, it's so hard to get a seat in the Volvo Ocean Race. So he figured out, hey, I might as well start my own team. And I thought the exact same thing. You know, if you wait too long, if you have to wait till there's teams and then apply for a job, the chances are very small. And I used to do lots of presentations for businesses, and I just mail them and say, hey, we've got this new boat in the ocean race. It's brilliant, and it will be good for your company. Could you please give me some time to explain it to you? And I got a big invitation with a big company in Holland. And then I was like, oh, whoa, and at the board directors level, So I was like, oh, do I, Johnny, have to go there on my own? So I called Bauer Becking, and I said, listen, Bauer, this is a good opportunity. Shall we go together? So we make the presentation together. And he did that with me. And well, basically, we made the presentation. We asked Gideon Messink, who run Brunel in the end, to also join us. So the three of us went to this presentation. It didn't become this company, but it was the kickoff of a year long with the three of us looking for sponsorships, doing all these presentations and so on. And we ended up with Brunel, and that's how Team Brunel started. And we rerun that campaign. And after Brunel, I started another company because I figured, hey, do I want to go continue sail around the world, laps around the world my whole life, or do I want to do something else? And I like the team aspect of sailing. I used to share it with businesses, so I built my own company. It's called We By Me. It's where I kind of summarized my teamwork experience in the last 20 years. And I could clearly say that in the teams that we performed and did really well, that I felt really part of the team, really strong in the team. I could really work out of my strength. I was being respected within that team, and I was really up for getting the best out of myself. And that was not only so with me, but it was with every single member of that sailing team. And that was the team that we performed. This is like ABN AMRO. We were so burned to do the best job we could ever do. And I thought, hey, that's interesting. Because if you flip the coin, because we've lost a lot more races than we've won in our lives, if you flip the coin, you could clearly see that somewhere in one of these motivations, there was something missing. You couldn't work out of your strength. You didn't like the team. Losers have a lot of excuses. So that's why We By Me. Without me, there's no we. If we can invest as skippers, as team members, as managers into every individual, then hey, the sky is the limit. So I've started doing that to businesses, and it's going really well. I mean, I do webinars now because we can't go live, but at the same time, I've got the youth team, which is called the Rotterdam Offshore Sailing Team. It's run from the Royal Yacht Club. We've got a Curve 46. We are actually in our second round. So we did the first round of 3 years where we really teach young, very talented sailors to sail big boats and become a professional sailor. It's more like it's not just sailing, it's becoming an entrepreneur. How do I actually treat my owner and rocking up at the boat an hour earlier and rigging it for him besides, of course, we use the KND software to analyze and to sail really well, but it's very much also taking care of the boat and being professional at your job. And it's working really well because they now go out in the scene. So we've got a second group now of under 25s, very talented group. But unfortunately, we haven't done much race. We only did Kiel Week last year. Hopefully this year we do the Fastnet and we want to go to the Met. And then I'm working with Simeon Tiempont and team, and it's called. It's like a club. It's called Dutch Sail. It used to be the group around the America's Cup entry from Simeon, the Dutch America's Cup entry that unfortunately just didn't make that. But we continued with the group because we've got it's a great group of bringing together all the good sailors in Holland, where we used to do our own thing and go to all these companies to do big projects behind each other. And, you first get Simeon, then you get Gert-Jan, then you get Bauer Becking, and then, and now we join our forces to get big groups of big campaigns going, join our forces to teach talent, to educate it. We've got the team Dutch Sail Foiling 69, which was the Youth America's Cup campaign, basically, but it didn't happen. But they did sail in Italy. We won that with the team Dutch Sail. Our youth guys won that with Coach Peter Jan Postma. And in a week's time, we'll have an announcement around the Europe race, the Ocean Race Europe, that we will, I will sail in, and you'll hear in a week's time who and what exactly when we've had the press release. But it looks like a really nice lineup with this Europe race with Nick, with Axel Nobel, and with Bauer on the Polish team. And Nico on the Axel Nobel, but so it's actually going to be quite a good level.
So Johnny,
and hopefully it happens
without telling anyone, Bauer's moved to Team Poland.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're the skipper of this new team that you're going to announce?
No.
Actually, just before we go down that path, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here. Before we go down the rest of that conversation, I was just thinking how good the Dutch sailors are, particularly offshore. There's so many good Dutch sailors, and if you think of the Dutch, like they're the best cycling nation in the world. There's no question, because everybody in the Netherlands is on a bike. Like they grow up riding bikes. And it's true. It's fantastic. And you get to the cycling world champs, and they just annihilate everyone, and have for years. And then I'm just thinking, there's so many good Dutch sailors, and I'm trying to work it out. They're surrounded by water. They live in a nation that just without those dikes would be flooded. Is it just an escape plan? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, we're mostly very good in organising, I think, and getting ourselves organised. And you can see that with the English very much. You see it now in the Cup. They started with the best funding in the Olympic program about 10-15 years ago. And you see really the fruits coming out of that. In the America's Cup, there's out of that Olympic program with the Brits, every boat in the America's Cup's got a Brit on there that came out of that program with Goodison and Ainsley and Lee McMillan and all these guys. And the Dutch kind of followed. And for the last 2 years in the Olympic program as well, we are the top nation in the world with Olympic sailing. So we're very good in organizing it, and with the campaigns. We're actually still record holder. We're the only country that won the ocean race 4 times. So that's pretty amazing, and we like that more. But we should try to get into the America's Cup.
Oh,
yeah, it's an opportunity lost. Right there. But I can almost feel a joke coming on, like that.
Oh, yeah.
Your policemen are Italian, your chefs are English, blah. But there's something here. I'm not sure quite what it is yet, but I'm going to work on it.
Yep. We'll workshop that one. It'll come back. We'll drop it in a few episodes.
You can hear it slinking away.
I know where you're going. I know exactly where you're going. All right, so let's finish off with that discussion around the process with the teams, because you mentioned the youth team you've got going on there. There's a potential with the America's Cup going on again that may kick off. The offshore campaigns, as you said, the Ocean Race Europe that's coming up, which everyone will be watching. What else have you got going on, Johnny?
Writing any books lately, mate?
Yeah.
No, the books are done. That's a bad money owner.
Tell us about the book so people can buy.
Well, actually, that's well, I'm a chairman of my club that I read it, and which is great fun to provide that with for my kids, and to in Holland to have a voice also with the youth sailing, because what you see is everybody's complaining that there's less young sailors starting into the sailing scene. In Holland, that's a big thing. We used to have lots of optimists, and there's a lot less now. And what I see is that a lot of parents, basically the sailing is organized for the kids by parents that have kids that are sailing. And generally, these kids are pretty good sailors already because they've been in it for a while. And what you see is the parents really aiming what they organize at their kids. So the focus is very much on the good kids and very little on the getting new kids into sailing. And you can look at the racing calendar and how it's set up and how people get memberships and money and so on. So I'm trying to rethink that a little bit, because these kids that are getting good, they're in for the rest of their life. We don't have to persuade, but we need to really think from how do we get the kids from the street into the boat and progress them through. So I like that. We're really looking for ocean race. The ocean race money to enter, hopefully 2 boats, but it's a difficult time in this Corona era. But we're doing that with Dutch Sail, and I think we've got a good way of doing it because we've got lots of big research institutions in Holland, institutions that research the waves on the water. So we have a big VPP program research going on with our boat. So my team's got also the sensors, my Curve 46, the sensors on the boat that we then send off to the research institutions to create VPPs on waves. So VPP are normally on flat water. And we are now creating VPPs on waves. We are working with another institution, Deltaris, on currents. And this is basically how Simeon got the speed record in the last race, because we got such detailed current models. And basically, they give us the models, but we also give them the feedback of that.
Shall I say it, guys?
Science.
Shall I say it? What was their record again? Axel Nobel?
601 or something?
610,
was it
maybe?
6?
No, 600.
Apparently it was going to be 620, but Simeon's here for a bit.
603.4, I think.
I've only done that gag about 6 times.
No, I will tell him now.
That's good. That's good.
But what's really interesting is the life science thing, actually, because this is really a thing that came out of Simeon, and I really like it. What he likes to do, we got the routing software, where we can put in the weather, and we've got our VPPs. But what our aim is to get actually the human battery in there. So to have a live view on how the batteries of the crew members. So if you round Cape Horn after 2 weeks of Southern Ocean, what are you going to do? Are you going to go Falklands, 1 and in? Or are you going to go Chile, where you do 30 tacks, which takes about 45 minutes when you fit, but could take up to an hour when you're tired after 2 weeks and so on. So is the optimal route?
Personal routing.
It could be a 3-4 hours difference if you're tired, dragging the 2.5 tons of gear around the boat. So that's interesting.
Next time I come over, Johnny, we should do a trial, but we'll do it of an evening time in Amsterdam.
That's the one story we cannot repeat.
Yeah, we won't mention that one.
You should probably talk to Philippe Kahn on some of that technology as well. Do you know Philippe?
Sorry?
You should probably talk to him on some of that technology.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. And yes, it's interesting. And what's most importantly, it connects the sailing campaigns to the business world. So we need this. So there's all sorts of businesses in windmills, in renewable energies, in hospitals, and so on that like these researchers. They invest in the research, and that's your connection as a sailing team to these companies. And then the step into sponsorship and actually getting funding for big races becomes a lot smaller. So, that's what we're hoping. But no luck yet. But keep fighting.
So it seems you've got a bucket load on. You've got big boats left, right, and centre.
And Brett, we've got the Olympic stuff, eh?
Well, I was just sort of going to segue into it. I think that's a nice word. I didn't use that word before.
Good work,
short-handed sailing obviously is going off around the world, and you were sort of looking at doing something in Holland. You want to run us through that?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. I'm also employed by the Dutch Sailing Federation for the last 2 years to kind of look at the mixed double-handed offshore sailing. We looked at it, and it's for every federation, it's a problem. A normal campaign runs on 60,000 to 100,000 a year. And for mixed double-handed, you don't even have a boat for that. So how are we going to deal with that? And quite quickly we figured out that we don't have the money as a federation to just buy a fleet of boats and go training for the Olympics and do a campaign that we used to do for athletes to win a gold medal in the Olympics. So what we're trying to do is kind of create a fleet with a kind of a mix of on the one side the federation, on the other side the commercial businesses of corporate sailing and so on. And we're also looking into collaboration with other countries, creating a World Series and so on. And then we have to look at boats, because the Olympic Association decided that they're going to decide late 2023 what boat it will be. So, but they have the characteristics. I have to say, at this point, within the next month and a half, we get the final decision if this discipline will be in the Olympics. And I have to say, more and more I hear negative reports on it will happen. But besides the Olympics, double-handed sailing is massively popular in Europe. We had 22 teams in the Dutch Nationals. It's just no hassle, a lot of fun. So there's still a lot of, it's just great sport and great way to develop talent all round. And Brad's got a really cool boat, the FAR X2. So we're looking at that to see if we can join up.
Yeah.
No, but it's, as you say, you've got a lot on, but and having a boat in that size range is a good thing as well. So it doesn't matter what boat it is, but 30 feet is a good size range.
Hey, I just got a great idea, Brad. If we get this boat, then you got to fill it up with this lager,
Oh.
That was already organised. I hadn't told Bicey.
That's going to be my commission, right? You fill it up with the beer karate lager, and that's my commission, right?
You weren't meant to say anything.
As much as you want, mate. No problem.
There's no water ballast on the boat, but there is beer
there
ballast.
will be lager ballast.
Beer ballast.
Kegs on there.
We are sending containers, so we can get a fair bit in containers as well. Absolutely, but. It is a huge market. You're right, and I think it's something to watch for Olympics or no Olympics. I think it would be great to get it in, but they should do something on the format, because what they have now as a format is a 2-nighter, 3 days, which is like, even for the clubs, it's too easy. They should do the offshore. Start when the flame goes on and finish when the flame goes off. 3 weeks on the sea.
Love it.
2 weeks.
Yeah, love it. Then you can just, give 5 minutes every day. And then after a week, people will go, what's this 5 minutes every day? And then they start getting into it. Yeah. By the end of the Olympics, everybody big brothering all the way into it, hooked, and then the flame goes off. And then the last Olympic medal is the mixed offshore medal. That's a story.
Wow.
The rest is a farce.
There we go, Jordan. That
no wonder you write books, mate.
That is good.
Hell.
Yeah.
That is good. The event starts at the beginning and finishes at the end. It's the true
2-week
marathon
duration
of the Olympics. I love it.
Then you have the 3 weeks of time to sell the sport to the public, to someone that has no idea. But
Mate,
he goes,
Jordan,
wow, they're on the sea.
You could seriously put the pursuit race in as part of that.
Yeah.
Back it in there.
But it's like 300 miles.
Yeah.
So if there's a lapping, they're out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A giant pursuit race.
A giant pursuit race in the Med.
600-mile lap.
Wow.
300-mile course.
It goes from Marseille to the north tip of Africa, across to Malta and back up.
Just keeps going back and forth for 2 weeks.
I can honestly say...
Well, that's the problem in the Med, though. You could park up and not be back in 2 months.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, but
isn't it when the flame goes off?
Point, when the flame goes out, whoever's leading, they win.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then it's forget about them. They just stay out there for another week while they're waiting to get back in.
Yeah.
That's a bloody bull tie now, I've got to tell you.
I love it.
In the somewhere in the Syrian coast, stuck. Leaving.
So the IOC and the World Sailing, if you're listening, we've nailed it. Once again, Barkarati solved it. Thanks to Johnny as well.
I'll grab a few refugees on the way through, bring them back.
Yeah. So there you go.
Lampedusa is always a good island to round.
The giant pursuit race for the Olympic gold medal by the awesome Jordan.
The great
Jordan.
Well, this is a team effort, this one. This is a genius.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool.
Love it.
All right, straight to the top.
Yeah. Looking forward to all that.
We're getting right near the end of our time. I do want to ask one question of you, bud. What's the best boat you've sailed?
Don't mention the clog.
To me?
Yeah, not the clog. Yeah, to you, Johnny.
Not the clog. It's got to be the ABN AMRO 2.
Okay.
And actually, everybody knows that the ABN AMRO 2 was actually faster than the ABN AMRO 1. If we had, if they did the refit they promised us to do, but Moose was getting scared, and then they cancelled the refit, and we missed 200k out of the bulb because of that. Because we would have just cleaned up as the youngsters. We didn't have a clue. But the boat was fast.
Mate, talk of not having a clue, and just to add one little last story. First night out, and I probably mentioned this before, just loose as everyone else is slowing down, and we're just yah-hilling it in 40 knots, code 0 on, just woohoo, just sending it.
It wasn't.
And we got the first sked.
We wanted to.
The first sked at midnight. Oh, we're leading. Is that kind of normal? Well, we couldn't roll up the code 0 because it was too windy. We couldn't feel it. But
electronics weren't working, so the wind, we couldn't read the wind. So by the time we felt the wind was quite strong, it was so strong we couldn't feel it. And then all the tailbacks, I remember that, all the tailbacks, they exploded because of the water that was coming into it. The holes weren't. So every wave, all the lines were at the back of outside the back of the boat. So all night I was pulling, and we're all pulling these lines out of the ocean. And then all of a sudden we hear from the hatch, we're sinking, and Junior is inside. We're looking through the hatch downstairs, and this Junior is with his bald head is swimming through the boat, knee deep in water. And what happened? We had this inspection hole on the centerboard case, the daggerboard case, and the water was coming in. So the inspection hole came off. So we had to go swimming in the boat, find that inspection hole. The ball, like a freeze-dried ball, upside down on it with a sail tie, and then bailing the boat. So.
Right, that's a forever life bond with you guys, I'm sure.
Hey, I want to give you a gift, Johnny. You know, you just helped come up with one of the great ideas for the Olympics. I want to give a gift to Dutch Sailing. When you were talking about the clog before, you kept talking. You mentioned it multiple times, how you could just spin it like a donut, like on the spot.
Yeah.
To me, that makes it potentially the best match racing boat out there. Mate. Could we not have, for the next Dutch match racing championships,
foiling clogs?
No, just clogs. Just do the Dutch match racing champs in clogs. How good would that be?
If you don't take that to the Olympic Committee, mate, I know your realm is within the double-handed offshore, but if you don't take that to the Olympic Committee, say, if we want to sharpen our skills, this is what we need to do.
Well, I'm going to...
And it's at the pinnacle of technology, you know. We've got the carbon rig, and it's actually, the clog is CNC milled out of one piece. You know, I mean, it's next level, the technology involved in the clogs.
Yeah. It was a 180-year-old tree. It's been taken down for another road, but turned into a clog.
If you guys do ever win the America's Cup, I'll go on record in saying Barcarati will form its own yacht club and become challenger of record, and we will agree to racing in clogs.
What size are we talking here? Are we talking sort of 80 feet?
Well, we won't be able to raise much money. So.
80-foot clog?
On foils, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's actually quite aerodynamic, you know, with the round shapes and everything. Yeah, just need to get a skag on it in the bottom.
Pointy bit at the front.
Oh. Yeah. My God, this has been the best sounding session ever.
It's so Viking, isn't it?
Love it.
Awesome.
All right, mate. We know you've got to go to another one. So I think
don't worry.
We're kind of out of time. But
this is a great start to my day, guys. Thank you very much.
Great finish to ours.
Johnny, I'll say it in the outro, but having done many a mile, I think the last time we caught up was at the Paris Boat Show, but holy shit, every time we do catch up, mate, it's awesome.
It's messy.
And even though it is over Zoom at the minute, thanks. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys, and good luck, and I hope to see you guys in real soon, and to get rid of this corona. I'm just recovering, actually. I had corona last month. And it's not pretty, I can tell you, but I survived, so we're good.
Bravo.
Good news.
Good on you. Thanks a lot, Johnny. Good to see you.
You take care. Ciao.
Not sure if you sensed it, man, but it's a pretty big bond you build with blokes or people that you go offshore with, and no much more so than me, particularly with Johnny, having spent a lot of time offshore with him and going through a lot, as he mentioned, the roller coasters, with him having his injury, losing Hans, the whole ABN program. It was just intense, and you can guarantee. And again, like chatting with Sci-Fi, for example, like these guys, it's almost like going to war almost. Of course, not at that level, but I could imagine that's the feeling you get, and that's kind of the friendships that you develop with these people that when you build such a team as we did with ABN. But good bloke. He's certainly a guy that takes it on too. He's a busy man, and he's got some good shit going on.
He's not short of energy, I can tell you that much. You can tell, and even in his stories, he's probably told them 400 times, but he's 4,000 times, but he speaks with absolute energy.
Absolutely.
That's very cool.
Now, speaking of energy, gents, and we've said it before, we get some fantastic correspondence either sent to us
Unbelievable.
at cheers@barkarate.com or via Facebook Messenger or whatever it is. And I've got to say, we've had one of the best. Now, you blokes know, and this is pretty close to me because I am a big fan of what I'm about to mention, and hence why we can't record our podcast at certain times because there's certain things on TV that I need to watch. So,
which I'll never watch.
Adam Lincoln, you're a champion. Here we go. Email. So, we're always looking at ways that we can bring sailing more into the mainstream and gain greater exposure. And I have an idea that can bring it into every lounge room in Australia in prime time. With the highest quality dramatic roller coaster ever to hit Australian screens, that is Married at First Sight, finishing this week, there will be a huge dramatic void in Australian lounge rooms between 7:30 and 8:30 most nights. I have an idea for a replacement show to fill this niche. Moulded at First Sight. Sorry, every time I read this, I lose my shit. So I'm going to try and hold on to it. We take someone with a Mould 11 Etchell and match them with someone that is vocally opposed to Mould 11 boats. And they have to live together and complete activities that test them to the very core of their values. And we get to voyeuristically watch on and see the sparks fly. Imagine having the big fella cohabiting with that miserable sailing anarchy bloke. JB and Andy Cumming making a meal together, flicking each other with tea towels. Just picture it. After a long day of tank testing and hydrodynamic modelling, then once a week they have a big dinner party with everyone that turns into an all-in shit fight that rival Japanese Parliament. The big dramatic crescendo of the week will, of course, be the Sunday night show, when once a week the contestants attend the measurement ceremony. Look out is all I can say. Now, this is the kicker, this last bit. The best part of the show is that it is fully inclusive. Nobody has to pretend that they don't watch it, as we do now, or that we only know what is going on because we happen to be walking through the room, or that we heard the significant other on the phone to their mates. We can legitimately say that we are honestly just watching it for the boats and really interested in a mutually beneficial outcome where others less nautically adjacent will be fully watching it for the manufactured drama and conflict. You're welcome.
That is an absolute blinder. An absolute blinder. You can...
dear.
Adam Lincoln, you've outdone yourself, my man. That is fantastic.
For those around the world that don't know what the show that they're referencing,
I think they will. MAFS has come to Australia quite late. It was actually devised in Denmark.
All of those shows, all of those reality shows.
So,
off the board.
I can't watch a reality show. I don't bring myself to it. So But I think I would actually genuinely be willing to watch that one.
Yeah.
I just get the flicking of tea towels. That would be
It's nicely
In
written.
other mail, though, we've received a lot of correspondence regarding the actual discussion. And whew, I've got to tell you, it's a can of worms.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
I still want somebody to talk from the other side.
Yeah.
Yep.
We haven't heard back,
we have been suggested some particular individuals, of which we will certainly follow up to ensure our non-biased views.
Our non-biased views. That's it. We need to provide a balanced response, but not to Adam. Just gold, mate. Pure gold.
Yeah.
Straight to the Olympics of banter.
That's almost merchandise pack material.
Yeah.
Moulded it first sight.
Adam, by the way, get in touch. Give us your address. We'll see what we can do.
Moulded at first sight. We actually, for those who've sent, we've had a heap of emails. We're going to organise some T-shirts real soon, some new T-shirts. We'll put some up just so you can get on the program. No problems at all. It's not a scam.
Not a scam. We're still here. We're still here.
Remember that one? It's not a scam. Oh, dear. Boys, you know how we came up with some brilliant regatta ideas in that discussion? We've solved the offshore program. So Matt Allen...
It is solved. The email's just been sent. So
we've come up with the new match racing boat, where we came up with the pursuit race.
Yes, the offshore pursuit race.
I will tell you, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I had another genius idea. Genuinely, it's a brilliant idea.
Genuinely, it's genius.
Yeah, no, it is. It's right there. I may not be the smartest person in the world, but I'm standing close to them.
You're not far off. Maybe the second.
No, seriously. But I gave the idea to Mark Turnbull from the Sailors Champions League, because he's perfectly positioned to make it work. So if he does something, keep an ear out for that. He'll probably announce it, but it's a great idea. So we'll touch on that later on, but super idea. Like, people will love it. I'm certain of it. The other thing, though, is last week we mentioned with this stadium sailing that there should be the heckle point, where they've got the rounding mark right in front, and the non-sailing teams...
Absolute mark of the course.
Yep. Non-sailing teams who heckle the best gain an advantage from doing that, whether, that's an extra point onto their score, or, the ability to take a point off someone.
Is that with a response?
No, this is another one that just popped into my head.
No, so what it means is that there's heckling going on from the crowd, and the response comes from the guy on the boat. If it slams it down,
it could be,
it could be just voted by
a reverse heckle.
We're gonna need a whole new form of umpires.
I know.
We're gonna have to get Luke Heggie in.
Yeah.
We'll have to get bloody the Moon Man.
Yeah.
The Moon Man.
Eddie Steady Eddie, for that matter.
Have to do a new rule book.
But that's actually, we'll make that the rule. So the best heckle, judge the best heckle gets to take a point off a boat each day, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
To choose.
But the additional idea I had, seeing we're going to put them so close, why wouldn't you give all the non-sailing teams water blasters? What do you call them? Like a really powerful water pistols. What do you call them?
Water pistols, yeah.
Yeah, the water blasters that really fire.
The big bastards.
Yeah. And as the teams are jibing around the mark, you can take them out.
If you can get them off the boat.
Imagine that.
I mean, this has turned in a professional sailing event into something which is probably even more professional.
How TV friendly are we? How TV friendly? This is the go.
Oh,
I love it.
It's like it's a knockout. Sailing,
exactly what it is.
All a mixture.
That's it.
And that other ninja one,
and a bit of that bloody stupid chasey game. What was that called? Ultimate Tag.
Oh, yeah.
Never saw it.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Wow.
Combine them all. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
You could never end with it, Obstacle course with big balls on strings going individually, passing a sail through them.
Oh, BP, what have you just said? That could work.
Yeah. Imagine that. Hits the mast and...
I love it. Yeah. But I know that I would particularly enjoy sitting there with a big water spout or spitter or water pistol thing.
Especially if one of us was on the field, on the course.
And, as they go, okay, 3, 2, 1, and they're counting down a jibe or something just straight into the gullet and fills the mouth. Yeah.
Straight in the mush. Boom.
Love it. Awesome. We're just about done, boys. Quick mention, though. We did talk to our friends from the International Moth class. They've been hosting their nationals in Australia, and they came to us and ordered a whole heap of Barkarati Sailors Lager because they heard we had some left over. And they've just run those national champs at one of the last classes, doing a national champs at Wangi. For non-Australians, it's pronounced Wangi, but we call it Wangi just because it sounds fun. And congratulations to Scotty Babbage.
Yes.
From Belmont.
All-time Mother. A quick shout-out. Josh McKnight was also up there. And the rest of the guys and girls.
The forgotten gold medalist, Tommy Burton, in second place.
Yes. Here.
Forgotten gold medalist.
And Joe Turner
in sailing, though, I've got to tell you, everywhere I go, I see him at the club. He's doing everything. He's loving it.
Yeah.
But they had really perfect Lake Macquarie conditions. Other than one day, I think they got it was very light. They said they were in displacement mode for a fair bit of it.
Oh yeah,
displacement on one of those boats is not fun.
Yeah, what a nightmare.
But they had enough. They had beer. They had the beer.
Yeah, good on you. Good effort from
well
BP.
Done, gents and ladies.
Did you listen to the start of last week's episode, BP?
Yes.
See, we looked after you. Made sure you were recognised.
And well, as I said, I did put some numbers on the board to get back. I thought I can't let the boys down.
Not much beer. Well, the beers have been selling. The Bay to Bay is on in Queensland in a couple of weeks, boys. It's a major event for the trailer sailors and the catwhackers and everyone. It's a bit like the Malangulwa in that everyone turns up the night before, everyone camps out. And then they race across the bay in behind Fraser Island. So I might try and cruise up there with what I've got left of the beer.
Here.
So the Queenslanders, I'm going to come up, I reckon, on Friday, Arv, when you're rigging your boats. Just look for a tall, ugly idiot with a car full of beer.
Probably got a cane hat on.
Yeah.
A cane visor.
A cane visor on. But, yeah, I'm going to try and bring them up. So, and if you want beers before that, because I suspect they'll be, then you better reach out to Cheers at Barkarati because I reckon we might chew through everything. We're getting some good traction, though. I think clubs are taking it on and restaurants. And,
so for SA, we're all out. For Vic, we've got a few, probably 10 cartons or so. So get in touch with me regarding that. And for the future, a bit like my back lawn at the moment, it's a little dormant just for probably 4 to 6 weeks, and then we're looking at a big announcement moving forward.
Ooh. Yeah, big announcement. For our overseas friends, I know we've let you down, but we haven't. If you guys could just reach out to the heads of your governments and and tell them the tariff or the what's it called? What's the word?
Import
duties.
The duties that they want to load on our gentle, lovely, health-inducing beer. If they could reduce them by 1,000%, because they're making it ridiculous. Our beer's unsellable at the price we've got so far. So just so you know, for our friends in New Zealand, for our friends in Europe, the US, the whole thing, we've been hammered. We're still working on it, but if anyone's got direct connection into the heads of government, then feel free to have a chat in their ear. That'd be lovely. Thanks.
All the mafia.
It's not us letting you down. We're desperately.
Dear Mr. Biden.
Eh? Yeah.
Dear Mr. Biden.
Dear Mr. Biden.
I received some correspondence from your predecessor, Mr. Trump, earlier on. He can no longer help.
And to our number one fan, I think I'm safe in saying, Johnny Schaefer, did you do the video?
Oh, mate, do the video.
Do the video.
Yeah.
Talk about leaving us hanging.
We're hanging, mate. Do the video. We've got a video. John Schaefer, US fan. As soon as he does the video, we'll put the link.
And we'll go live with you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Thanks, John.
Good on you, lads.
All right. Cheers,
right.
gents.
Is it that time of the show? Are we
It is
done?
that time. Yes.
So what do I do now?
Well, did you hear that? That was a footy into my window.
Oh. Well, you're coaching now, a super coach.
I better go work out on some drop runs, I reckon.
Yep.
Another fantastic time chatting to a really good person in the world of our sport. It's been great fun. We love it. And we're going to come up with some unique ones soon. So, yeah. And thanks for listening, people. We really love your support. And some people have been writing some super nice comments and ratings for us out there, and we're getting them, and we're really touched. So, and the emails, we love it. So we're just having a grand old time. It's about you guys. So, but if you're not happy, just send money.
Lots of it.
All right. See you, lads.
Cheers, lads. One day I'll have to play it live.
Mate, I told you, we go live. Do a live episode, you're playing it live.
Oh, yeah. What a good idea.
Just an acoustic version. Bit hard with a band.